and let the Spirit, He's the one. Christ prayed for His church to be unified. He's the one who's going to, help us to live out that unity, and we trust Him to do it. And we just take the parts that we are called to play. And so each of us, as a member of the body of Christ, I think we can look at it overall and we can just be overwhelmed, like it's just so great. But if I look at it like God's given me a part, what's my part? And if every part played their part, the whole church would be doing it. And so I think we get overwhelmed by what is it, seeing that you missed the forest for the trees, or you missed the tree for the forest. Like we get overwhelmed, like it'll never happen, because we're trying to bring about this big change, when God's like, just what am I calling you to? And it's always, I think God is so loving that He meets us where we are, and He takes us step by step to where He wants to. If He were to show us right away, we'd be overwhelmed. And I love that He doesn't do that. Like if He just backed the dump truck up and said, this is what but I think for each of us, it's like where I am with the people You've placed around me, with the interest and gifts that You've given me, what's the part You're calling me to play in this? You play that part, and then you trust that God's working in your brothers and sisters to play their part. And we're going to see more of what Christ prayed for manifested as each of us are walking out our part. So, but yeah, I think I shared with it before that Ronald Reagan used to have the term, I think it was from the Reagan administration, trickle down economics. Yeah. Like flowing from the top. And I think God always, whether it's this or anything, He always trickles up, and it's always an individual. He chooses Abraham, but it wasn't just about Abraham. Even in Abraham's calling, I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to bless your seed so that all nations of the world will be blessed. But He starts with an Abraham. And then one day we're going to end up with a multitude of nations, tribes, people groups, and tongues that can't be numbered worshiping our God. But it all started with one. And so if we take that, like, what do You call me to do? And I trust You, God, to bring about all that God is the one who declares the end from the beginning. I'm going to trust You to bring about what You intend, but help me to just take that one step.
We live in a world that says go big or go home. Mm-hmm. Every movie has to be introduced with this, spectacular release, and or every new product. And God's ways is the exact opposite of that, isn't it? Yep. God says, no, it's not go big or go home. It starts small.
Yeah.
And plant seeds that will grow sometimes imperceptibly, and spread in ways that have massive kingdom impact.
Yeah.
Some of which we see, some of which we don't.
Yep. I was just thinking of the parable when you said that. Jesus' parable of the leaven. A little leaven is going to leaven the whole lump. It's that small mustard seed that's going to make this great big tree in which, this birds are going to be able to nest in. And so we almost downgrade the seed. We almost look at that as if we can't have the tree, I don't want that seed, but it's like it's starting there and trusting this God who spoke everything out of nothing to bring about something that is miraculous out of little steps that we make, because it's not necessarily the steps we make. It's the God who calls us to make the steps, and His miraculous power working in that to produce something that's greater than anything we could imagine. So it's like, do we trust God? It's not about what I can do. Do I trust that God can do what He said? The same God who told His disciples that I'm going to die, and on the third day I'm going to be raised from the dead. He's the one who said that He's praying for His church to live. Do I trust this one who conquered death, hell, and the grave? Is now seated at the Father's right hand to do exactly what He said, as He sent His Spirit to us, empowering each of us to do our part, to live out this as a unified church, displaying this beautiful diversity that shows forth the reconciliation that one day all of creation will experience. But it's like the world and all of the powers and principalities, they can see the wisdom of God. How? Through the church. Through the church that in this age is living out a reconciled relationship that one day points to the fact that everything is going to be reconciled to God. And we're the picture of that. And sadly, we're giving the world not a great picture of who we are. And so it's us just living out who we are.